for our vertical axis wind turbine with two-phase sails, which is our patent. And it's extremely lightweight. The rotor itself, which costs less than $100 with retail off-the-shelf parts to make, is so lightweight, it's under 20 pounds. We have a small female, a kid, can actually lift the thing up over their head with no difficulty whatsoever. Now, because of the efficiencies of this design, rather than needing from 12 to 20 miles per hour to generate electricity, we need about 2 knots or 1.5 miles per hour to get going, and we only need 4 knots, about 3 miles per hour, 2.5 to 3 miles per hour of airflow in order to generate the rated electricity. Now, this makes a big difference. The wind profile of most land masses on the planet is such that there is no such thing as a truly still place on the planet, with the exception of a few square miles in the middle of the Pacific Ocean known as doldrums. We're good for about 85% of the planet. On about 85% of the Earth's surface, you're going to find better than 2.5 miles per hour of airflow at all times. Given this and the use of high-efficiency, low-speed permanent magnet alternators, we have the capability to generate what is ostensibly base load electricity in a distributed manner. Now, these are also scalable because the mast does not interfere with the rotor. We're able to stack them so we can get as much torque as we want out of the device, which means we have the capability to turn any size of electric motor that we wish to turn. We have the capability to produce enough torque to turn any size electric motor that we wish to turn. Now, that also goes for turning compression pumps, whether for pumping water or oil or gas, and that goes for using mechanical energy to drive any number of devices in a machine shop or elsewhere. I mean, most machine shops work on pneumatic power, they work on air power. Well, we can compress that air quietly and cleanly rather than using electricity. When everyone can use the energy that is being gathered without transforming it, always better because, of course, we're always dealing with entropy. So that's the vertical axis wind turbine with two-phase sails. Now, there are a lot of people out there who are very NIMBY, not in my backyard, about wind power. They say that the windmills hurt birds. In some cases, yeah, that's the case. In our case, the worst thing would happen with us or any vertical axis wind turbine is that a bird might successfully land on the wind turbine and get dizzy. In addition, the large form factor wind power is considered by many to be a bit of an aesthetic pollution. I can understand why the folks in Cape Cod or Nantucket would not like to see gigantic, monstrous wind turbines poking out of their ocean view. Not to mention, we really have no idea what the giant foundations for these and the alteration of the airflow pattern to the shore is going to do in the long run to the environment of that very sensitive aquatic ecosystem. So while it's certainly better looking than a nuke plant or a big coal plant or a big gas-fired power plant, It most certainly is far too much technology to do far too little good, and a tremendous amount of investment on the part of the public to the benefit of private enterprise, so that we can keep paying bills to companies that don't even bother to pay attention to a weather report because there's going to be an ice storm, and maybe they might want to trim a few trees that have their branches hanging over power lines, and on and on and on. We don't need a grid. We do not need a national grid. We do not need electric companies. What we need is cooperative, distributed generation by the public at large in their states, on their houses, on their businesses, on their apartment buildings. We have the capability to power up the island of Manhattan without burning a drop of anything. Give them heat, give them light, and give them locomotion with just the air that flows across that island every single day. And we can do it in a low-profile, low-aesthetic impact manner with devices like the Green Revolution's windmill and others that are being designed and produced to produce electricity and mechanical energy with as little impact as possible. Once we've settled that, once we've reached critical mass with cheap, one-time payment energy, that means, for instance, in the case of the Green Revolution's windmill, it's a cost that can be amortized by the average householder in about 10 to 15 months. After that, you're just not paying for your electricity anymore. You're done. You've paid for it. Now, that sounds good to me. And in addition, if you're generating more electricity than you're using, then eventually you're going to start getting, if you're grid tied, a check instead of a bill from Con Edison. Now, wouldn't that be nice? I believe that is the future, and with that kind of cheap energy, we have the capability to do significant urban farming, hydroponics and high-rises, such as I'd like to do. As long as we're still burning something in internal combustion engines, I say fine, burn algae oil. It's the most efficient source of combustible oil on the planet. You can grow algae in a high-rise hydroponically, end up with fuel and with dietary fiber, and you can refine that oil into motor fuel on lower floors, and then distribute it on the ground floor through a dispensary. You don't even have to truck the dangerous explosives around the way that we do currently. The uses for good, efficient, and inexpensive wind power and photovoltaic, thermal, solar, and geothermal are endless. The uses for clean, cheap electricity are endless. And there is absolutely no reason on earth why we shouldn't have done this a long time ago, and there's no reason on earth why we shouldn't do it now. And that is my endeavor. If the listener has any questions, then you feel free to call me or my compadres at the Earth Service Institute. My phone is 802-275-5043, which is me anywhere, anytime. And I am happy to answer questions because I am very happy for the opportunity to convert the uninitiated and the curious and the enthusiast to the least expensive and most efficient power sources on the planet. And I thank you.